Awesome. So everybody, we're here tonight to talk about Spain. I'll put on the screen that will take us through our presentation. So you'll hear my voice, and for Zoom participants, you'll hear my voice, and you'll see the PowerPoint presentation as we go along. And then for the folks that are on location at Indian Head Library, you'll hear me, and you'll see that on the screen that's in front of you that Vanessa has arranged. So let me get that screen hooked up so we can get going and hightail it to Spain. We've got a lot of material to cover here tonight, people, in the presentation. Towards the end of the evening, we'll have some time for some questions and answers. All right, quick slide for anybody that's new for me and new to you. Perhaps you're new to me, new to you. However you want to look at it, my name is Dave Wentworth. It's nice to be with you this evening. And I run Destination Whatever. That is my travel agency. And I run that so I can focus on my passion of connecting people with awesome travel opportunities and memorable moments, finding ways to make travel special and just all that and a bag of chips, as the kids like to say. And so perhaps you could connect with me for help planning with a small group tour. I like expedition trips, which means things to unusual waterways, out there things, polar regions. But I love a river and an ocean cruise as well. I love adventures for all. A lot of times people say a lot of the destinations I go to are rather wacky, and that makes them adventure. Well, my food trip to Spain, which forms a lot of what I'm going to show you tonight, was an adventure. It was a culinary adventure. And so adventures can really be adventures for all. We could also look at things like just unique destinations, custom itineraries, just trying to find ways to make it work and make your trip memorable, make your trip out there. So my background comes from international development studies. I've been to over 40 countries on 6 continents. So my last trip was down to the Amazon, and I just love that. And I have a real passion for languages. I was talking today to the superannuated teachers in Moose Jaw and just talking about being a French immersion student. And really, it's just that passion for foreign language and discovering the world that makes me passionate about sending people on places, being your #1 travel expert. All right, let's get going into Spain. And just to give you an idea of tonight's menu, we will start off with me talking all about Spain. So the logistic details about how to get around Spain, what the weather's going to be like, when you're going to want to go there, different regions. And then I'll take a break, and we have a really special component tonight will be the raffle for the WestJet draw. We've been leading up to that all during the autumn and, back in 2023. And so we'll see who is going to be the lucky ticket holder tonight. So good luck, everybody. And then once the raffle is completed, you're going to be back with yours truly for the third part of tonight's presentation. And I probably have maybe about 15-20 minutes for you down at the end, where we'll be taking a look at some must-do things in Spain. So stuff that I think you just must do while you're over in Spain, some top recommendations. We'll look at some pictures from the Camino. Just spoiler alert, that will be on the list, including some photos from Jamie and Ruth Ann on the Camino. And yeah, just some tour options to kind of tantallate you. So as they say in Spanish, let's vamos, let's get going. All right. So again, this first half today, we'll just be talking about your essential information about Spain. So let's start talking, blah, blah, blah. Let's start talking about money and electricity. Those are two of the most essential things when I'm traveling. So officially, currency-wise, Spain is super easy. It's the euro. It's set up for modern money use, just like you would expect anywhere else in Europe. So lots of ATMs, lots of places you can use your credit card. If you like to tap as you go, you can do that. And, you might want to have some cash on you because there's going to be those moments where you're in markets or you might be in a more rural region. And when you're out there, perhaps cash is a little bit better at the farmer's market. But Easy peasy to get around with money. And most people find euros to be quite easy to work with. It divides into 100 euro cents. So it's kind of like a dollar that way. It's colorful like Canadian money. So yeah, and pretty easy to get to. Most of the times you can just head on down to your bank and pick it up right at the moment, right from the teller. I got a picture of the electricity, and you can just tell from the color of green on that wall that I took that picture in Spain. That is a fiesta color coming through. And that's just to show you that the electricity in Spain is like what you would find throughout the European Union. So it's going to be a two-pin application, and you're going to want to bring your converters from North America. It's a 230 voltage. And yeah, so if you're traveling around Europe, the good news is it's going to be the same type of plug that you would find in other European countries. So you can just keep using that same converter. Yeah, as you go along. We've got a few more people coming in on Zoom. Just for the Zoom people to let you know that I just wanted to say welcome, bienvenidos. We're a few slides in, and thank you for joining us this evening. Um, Continuing, just to talk about the practicalities of Spain. So the language in Spain, it's Spanish. Obviously, it's in the name of the country. And the Spanish that is spoke in Spain, it's European Spanish. Some people would say Castilian Spanish. So if you've studied Spanish in Latin America, South America, or if you have experience with the Spanish from those parts of the world, you might find the European Spanish will have a slightly different ring to the ear, but pretty easy to get around. I would almost kind of say it's like English from North America versus UK. And Spain also has a really vibrant language tapestry, let's say, a linguistic landscape, because there is a number of, I don't even want to call them minority languages because they're quite commonly found. Catalan is spoke in the Barcelona area, and you'll even see it on signposts and in official usages. And Galician is another language that is spoke in the northwestern part of Spain, and Basque can be found around the areas with France, and that's just in northern Spain. There's influences in the south as well. So yeah, really interesting language in Spain. Tips, we want to talk about tipping culture in Spain. You know, it would be customary to leave a small amount if you're getting, you know, your wine and your tapas. And that's what's pictured there. Well, actually, we got a beer here with the tapas, but let's just say, you know, you're having your bar bites and it comes to €4.70. Leave the €5. Just don't worry about the 30 cents. But that's kind of all you're thinking about. Maybe if you want to give 5 to 10%. And it's really not even obligatory if you didn't want to tip. That could be allowed as well. Awesome. All right. So again, welcome everybody from Zoom. Perhaps leave a comment if you're from far away. We can look at those at the end, put it in the chat. All right, so continuing with our practicalities on Spain, safety and health wise, it's nice to point out that Spain is very much an established, developed country. It's easy to travel here. You can drink the water. Spain has excellent medical facilities, dental facilities. If you need emergency assistance, it's available in Spain. So it's really in that way hassle-free. You should obviously, of course, make sure you have your medical coverage in Spain, but that's a topic for all destinations. And then time zone, if we want to think about the time in Spain, it's in CET. So right now that would be 7 hours ahead of Saskatchewan if we want to look at this time zone and that time zone. And so another reference is that it's 1 hour ahead of the United Kingdom. All right. Next, I'd like to talk about the entry requirements. Obviously, it would be a pity for you to go all the way to Spain and then not be able to get across the border. So to make entry into Spain, if you have a Canadian passport, you're good to go. You can stay in Spain for up to 3 months, but bear in mind that's also staying in the EU Schengen area. So that would be the 27 countries that represent the Schengen area. So if you're going to Spain, France, and other places, we're talking 3 months in Europe. And you may have heard me say this, of course, at some of our other European talks. You can go for 3 months, and then you kind of got to leave Europe for a while and then go back for 3 months. So, you just need to be, if you love Europe and you want to spend a lot of time, of course, I will help you with that. But think about maximum 3 month chunks. Otherwise, really easy to get with your passport. Also, just make sure that your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your estimated date of return. That's really good protocol, and some countries insist upon that. So again, that's just making sure your passport has at least 6 months of validity before it expires. And we're going to measure that 6 months from the date of your anticipated return to Canada. Otherwise, if you got your passport and you've got your plane ticket, you are good to go. You are going to get one of those Barcelona or maybe Madrid passport stamps. Let's talk about those passport stamps. Let's talk about where you're going to get them, because you're going to need to think about transportation to get to Spain. So, WestJet has been the delight for us all quarter. Last year, we were talking about WestJet, of course, with that juicy raffle that we're going to get to in about 14 minutes. And so let's talk about WestJet services to Spain. WestJet does have a service that is operated on a seasonal basis from Calgary to Barcelona. This year in 2024, those flights are going to start on April 30th, and then the season's going to go to November 9th. And so for passengers coming from across Western Canada, WestJet can often get you there pretty easily and then make that connection in Calgary, and away you go. Cool thing with WestJet and those Dreamliners, not only is the Dreamliner one of the most sought after aircraft for today's traveler because of its comfort on board, but it does offer 3 cabins of service. And so if you are interested in treating yourself, or for the nocturnal flight, you like to have a little bit of extra comfort, there is a premium economy cabin, and also a business class cabin available. And so with WestJet, we're seeing so many exciting things happen. Not only that selection of cabins, but exciting routes like the European routes to Barcelona. Just before Christmas, they announced they will be flying to Reykjavik, Iceland, which I know is a destination many people are keen on. So now Iceland is a lot closer with WestJet. And they've also recently announced that they will be adding their second Asian destination, with service happening 3 times weekly this on a seasonal basis to Seoul. Enough about WestJet. I could sing their praises all night long, but they're not paying me. I will tell you, though, that that flight, if you do the nonstop, it's going to be about 9.5 hours from Calgary. But if you want to look at other solutions, Air Canada offers a convenient option for many Canadians from a number of gateways coast to coast via connections in Toronto and Montreal, and they offer services into Barcelona, but also Madrid. So if you're looking for Madrid, sometimes Air Canada could be a good way to go. And if you're touring across the Iberian Peninsula, which would mean we're talking Spain and Portugal here, maybe you might need a flight that goes into Portugal. And if that's the case, there are options through Toronto that can get you into Lisbon, Porto, and the Azores and Faro. There's actually a number of Portuguese destinations that you can reach from Toronto. We'll have to talk about Portugal another time. Now, I want to talk about the internal transportation, so what the aspects of getting around Spain would look like. Spain rhymes with train, and so what? Europe rhymes with syrup, and train travel in Spain is very common. However, I do think that while Spain does have awesome trains, they have fast trains, comfortable trains. The Spain train network is called Renfe. One critique I have is I find that a lot of the services are hub and spoke out of Madrid. And that's great if you want to go from Barcelona to Madrid and then on to, say, Seville. You could do that by train very well. But if you want to work your way from Barcelona down the coast, you might find the train services to be limited. If you want to go from Barcelona across the north coast towards Santiago Compostela, you might not find a train that would do that directly along the coast. You would have to go inland to Madrid and then kind of back up, sort of thing. So Maybe think about Spain as a wheel and think about Madrid as the center of that wheel, and then the train lines radiating out from Madrid. Again, if that works for the geography of the itinerary that you have in mind, Spain has fabulous trains. And like a lot of the European countries, we can look at getting rail passes if that was something you needed. That would give you 3, 4, 5 days of travel within a period of time. If you want to drive in Spain, there's some awesome opportunities for that. There's some great diverse landscapes. I rented a car on my trip in Spain and did some things that were a bit off the beaten path. I used it actually to get to the westernmost point in Spain. I'll show you a picture of that in part two tonight. And anyway, yeah, renting a car in Spain is pretty easy. And if you rent a car in Spain, you might want to have an international driver's license, although I did rent with just the Canadian license. That was acceptable when I rented with Hertz. And I was able to get an automatic, although manual was a bit more common. I did pay extra for the automatic. Otherwise, driving is on the same side of the road, and the road infrastructure in Spain, the highways are pretty similar to North American. There are tolls on a number of highways in Spain, and so you'll want to be thinking about the cost of tolls in addition to the higher cost of gasoline over in Europe. All right. Another thing about those cars, really great if you're doing some exploration, say maybe down in the Canary Islands area. All right, we should be able to go ahead now and take a look at some regions, and then we'll turn it over to the folks at the library. We're getting closer and closer to that big raffle. It's so exciting. It really is, folks, because I was there in September when we kicked off with our Italy talk, and we've gone all over the place. Tonight's our big night. Oh, goodness gracious. Which way are we going here? To the regions. All right, so Spain has a number of regions. I love using these color-coded maps because when we break down a European country in particular, there's a lot of things to see and do. And it might be impossible, for example, for you to go to Spain and see all of Spain in one trip. That might not be a realistic objective because there's so many regions. There's a lot of different concepts. So what I want to show you is some just different color-coded regions here, and then we'll take a look and see what those highlights are. So if I were to start all the way over on the right-hand side of the map, there's some islands that are located in the Mediterranean Sea. And that would be one region, the Balearic region. In fact, why don't I show you this map? I think this will be better. So that would be the Balearic region, that teal blue island, and the main city there is Palma. If you've heard people talk about Ibiza, or maybe Ibiza, as some people like to say, Ibiza is one of the Balearic Islands. And geez, Palma would be the big city there, but there's also the island of Menorca and Mallorca. So there's 3 islands out here that can be explored. Next, we look at eastern Spain. Eastern Spain would be the eastern coastline of Spain. And so we would start up with the border of France, where we have the Pyrenees Mountains. We come down the coastline. We see Barcelona, Valencia, and going all the way down to Murcia. So anything on that Mediterranean coastal vibe. Obviously, Barcelona is the big city here. It's a huge transportation infrastructure. So chances are you'll be going through Barcelona at some point in time. But again, great coastline here on the Mediterranean. Let's go inland a little bit to the purple region that you can see located to the southwest of France. That would be, we call that northern Spain. And I love that area of Spain. That was probably one of my top areas of Spain. And when I went to Spain, I did a culinary food tour. So poor me having to eat my way through Spain. But you know what, folks, someone's got to do it. And so we went to Zaragoza. We went up to a town called Logroño. I'm going to show you some pictures of that. That is in the La Rioja wine district, where I just had to drink so much wine and I had to eat so many tapas. And oh my Lord, it was my cross to bear. And then up to the coastline, up by Bilbao on the on the coast of Biscay, where we did some cooking classes and stuff. So northern Spain, I just loved. I just ate that area out of house and home. And then actually on my food tour, we continued over to the green area that you see in northwestern Spain. That's known as Green Spain, and it's very green. It's very coastal. It reminds me a lot of my beloved Atlantic Canada with the fishing villages and the fog. But of course, with all that moisture and condensation, we have nice, rich dairy foods, great cheese. I did a food tour, like I was saying. So we had a cheese degustation up here. It was just wonderful. And of course, great seafood. So Green Spain is amazing. And if you're doing the Camino, which we'll talk about, you would be going through a lot of these nice green areas. From the color green, let's shift to the tawny brown color. That would be central Spain, where we have the capital city of Madrid. And you can see it covers quite a large area. There's not a lot of population here. There's a large area. Madrid is a major city. There are some satellite cities outside of Madrid, which a lot of people like to make day trips to, and often on tours they'll visit, and we'll look at some pictures of those in part two of tonight's presentation. And so towns that I would be talking about might be like Segovia or Toledo, for example, Salamanca. A lot of Spanish academia, Spanish writing comes from this part of Spain. So if you're into the finer aspects of Spain's cultural portfolio, this would be a great area for you. And again, some of those cities like Segovia with its aqueducts and aquifers, those are going to go back all the way to Roman times. So for people that love history from that period, that central area of Spain can offer a lot. Finally, we have two areas in the south. There's the blue area, which is called Andalusia, and that has a name that, we're not just saying central or north. It has this name that comes from the Arabic language, and it would refer to the Vandals people, and this is where you have Moorish influence. Moorish coming from Morocco. This is influence coming from the Arabic world. And we'll see that when we get to the pictures in part two, that we have beautiful Arabic inspired mosaics and the Alhambra Castle and just an entirely different aesthetic visually that we can take in, just different layers of history. Of course, it's shaped the cuisine, and this area shapes the Spanish language. If you've ever studied Spanish and you wonder why they call sugar Alcuzar, it's because Alcuzar comes from Spanish, a Spanish castle, Alcazar. These come from Arabic, I mean to say. These are Moorish influenced words. So you're going to pick up on all of that in Andalusia. That is just an area you can do a tour in and of itself. And then finally, there's the Canary Islands. Those coral islands, and they're in the map. That's not exactly where they're located. They're much further down southwest, and they're located in the Atlantic Ocean. They're about 100 kilometers off the coast of Morocco, and they are volcanic origin islands. Now, some people would say because the volcano, it's the Hawaii of the Atlantic Ocean. I wouldn't say that. They offer a different landscape, and we'll look at some pictures of that again in part two of tonight's presentation. So I know I keep referring to, or part three, pardon me. So just a quick few visuals before we get into the different parts. And I keep wanting just to point out for people that might have joined on Zoom over the last few minutes, I know I've admitted a few people. Welcome, by the way. That I'm going to hand it over here at the top of the hour and give it to the Indian Head Library crew. They'll be conducting a raffle, so they'll be taking the floor. And then I'll be back when I say part two. It's part two of my presentation where we'll look at things to do in Spain. But right now, of course, we're just doing a very genetic overview of the geography and landscapes of Spain. Hey, I didn't talk too much about weather earlier, just while I'm thinking about it. This rain in Spain mainly falls Well, in the spring. And then summer can get extraordinarily hot. Fall can actually offer a really nice, cooler temperature. And of course, it's harvest in this destination, like with much of Europe. So we've got some great farm to plate happening. And so if you want to be like me and just eat your way through Spain like a little piggy, September and October can be a great time to do that. So again, I would think about Spain. Get away from those rains. So anything late April, May, maybe early June. Then it's going to get quite hot over the summer. You can do it to just be mindful about the temperatures. And then again, autumn is going to offer a nice, cooler temperature for you. All right, a few pictures before we pass the torch. We've got the Balearic Islands. So this would be Ibiza. We've been looking at that for a while. Next, Eastern Spain, which is going to be mainly dominated by Barcelona. You see the Sagrada Familia Church here, which is like always been under construction since it was first there in the late 1800s. So that's a famous church. You also can see lots of green spaces. Barcelona was built in a way that offers a lot of green space. And so I really enjoy just going to the tapas bars and just sitting and people watching and again, eating my way through Spain. Some pictures again of northern Spain. I was talking how much I love that. That's me in a Rioja Valley winery, and I'm having a degustation, just drinking all sorts of delicious Spanish wines. And we did a cooking class, which was amazing. I and picked up a few things that I've brought home and really wowed my dinner guests with. And of course, a bunch of tapas here, which sometimes are called pinchos in different areas of Spain. But again, these are little bites of finger foods that we can eat at bars, and they just charge you by the piece as you go along. And so if you like to nibble on appetizers, it is the way to go. Speaking of tapas, just a few pictures of my tapas crawl in the town of Logroño in Spain. Logroño has a great heritage going back to the medieval era, and nowadays it's known for different eateries that compete with their different tapas. So I was up to judge that and try a bunch of different tapas with my friend. And yeah, we had a great time. Green Spain, again, those mountains, I just wanted to show you that green vibe. We had a really fun moment on our food tour where our tour guide put us into groups of two. It was kind of like Amazing Race and gave each of our groups, I think I remember it was €5 or €10, but then set us loose into a market. And our lunch was whatever we bought. And so you can see on the picnic table was when we all came back together and we all dumped it out. And it was just delicious. It was just so much fun. And again, more from Green Spain, that food tour, the beautiful food markets, the open air food markets. This one that you see in the picture was from Santiago. On the left is a picture of me from Finisterre. If you're a language nerd like me, you might be able to work out Finisterre, Finterre, end of earth. This would be like that last spot in Spain back when there was no new world. This was the end of the earth. And again, just that coastal vibe with the fog rolling in and a really gentle, delicate landscape. Again, final quick look at central Spain, the capital city of Madrid, those beautiful Roman aquifers in Segovia. Whoops. I wanted to go next to Andalusia and show you the white-walled architecture of Ronda, which is a city built on the walls of a gorge, and you can get up close to that gorge and get some really dramatic views. The mosaics that you can see, the mosaics that give us reminders that there's Arabic influence. Same with that doorway. And I'm sure if you got up close and looked at the bolts in that door and the knocker, you would see even finer, delicate notions of the Arabic world, the writing, the calligraphy, things like that. And then the famous Alhambra located in Granada. Canary Islands, I keep talking about them. They're big, they're popular. People are going to the Canaries. Europeans have been going there forever if a day. North Americans are catching up. It's a volcanic landscape, as you can see in that black ash landscape located on the right. You get the red hot pokers that are growing out of cactuses. So really different flora and fauna and different temperatures, this volcanic landscape. It's really just a whole different notion. But it is part of Spain, of course, and it's a quick flight from the Spanish mainland, and you can be on any of those 7 Canary Islands. That beach picture is Lanzarote. It's known for some great beaches, and just look at the color of that water. Well, it's time to get on to that raffle. I might be a few minutes after 7, so I'm just going to stop the screen right now. And again, for Zoom folks that are following along, we're going to let the Indian Head crew take us through their fundraiser raffle, and then I will be back, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger.